you've alluded to in your story, like 3 strikes and you're like, okay, I don't know how much time I've got left here. I'm going to make the most of what's left. But then when you've had to do that, you're like, okay, well, what does that actually mean? And I think sometimes perhaps when people who are particularly used to being busy, slowing down can actually be so uncomfortable, as you've said, that it kind of just flips you into being busy in other areas. What do you think about that?
I would agree with that, but I think what I'm doing now is I'm busy in areas that I think add value to a person's life rather than someone's bottom line.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. Yesterday I played bridge and there was a lady there and I made it a bit of my personal challenge that I don't think she's laughed for a good couple of months. And so she was on the table with me and she was an older woman. She sat down and I said, oh, hi, I'm Anita, Frankston Bridge Club, blah, blah. She goes, oh, hi. And so then I started to sort of talk and she said, we're playing cards? And I said, yeah, but, let's be a bit friendly and, let's have a bit of a chat. And after about 5 minutes, I actually got her to laugh and I went, tick. So what that meant to me is that she had no joy in her life. She was just there, and grumpy and horrible, just not, So I actually now have a different concept of what wealth is in making time, is I prefer to make people happy and do things that generate a feeling of community, especially older people. Because bridge tends to attract older people, and it's men and women, so it's not necessarily gender specific. But so many of these people are lonely, and they don't talk to people.
No, that's right.
That was what community and habits are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going off script a bit, sorry, Gree, but I find that the sense that you were led to bridge that gave you that insight and your time became valuable to you. Like you bridge a lot. Like you're a bridgeaholic in my view.
No, but you've got to see that the associated things with that. For example, I'm
what I'm saying.
now in the Frankston City Council, the local council, in their committee called Positive Aging. Now, it could be about, but that happens to be there because I've got there through a particular pathway. But that's actually just about bringing people together. You could be playing bridge, or you could be playing, I don't know, throwing jacks in the air. It's irrelevant of what you're doing. Is you're actually bringing people together that no longer work full time to how they can feel a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
So bridge just happens to be my vehicle into it, not actually the means to an end.
No. And I think that's the part that I find interesting, because for someone like Andrew, it's potentially the photography club or, and so I guess if you are going through that change in life, that is the kind of what I'm hearing from your story, is to listen to what it is that calls you and dive in and go full throttle and talk into that community to help reconnect with yourself.
When you retire, you don't lose the skills that you have learned.
Not at all.
You just, and what people need to, maybe your listeners need to do is if you've always been that sort of person, I'm a born networker, then you simply refocus that into areas that you're passionate about. And for me, if I go in somewhere and I see people standing alone or not really communicating with anybody, I gravitate to them. I don't want to go over to the big group of 20 people that are all, banging on about things. I want to actually go and find that person that actually hasn't come out of their shell. Because just because I'm retired doesn't make that's part of my DNA.
Yeah.
And so
I'll
people need
to that.
Yeah, she can attest to that.
You're incredible. Can I share a story, Anita, about...
If you must.
Yeah, I invited Anita down to a speed dating networking, business networking thing in Frankston Arts Centre, and she was my guest, and she ended up being the belle of the ball because her networking skills and her wisdom that she had to share with that group of people who were like me, just sort of nervous and kind of a bit awkward.